What's happening, everybody? It's me, Crazyfrankie, and I'd like to welcome you to my Week 1 4 key game picks. Well, the wait is finally over. The 2015 NFL season gets underway on Thursday, September 10th, with the Pittsburgh Steelers taking on the defending Super Bowl champion New England Patriots. And of course, I'm back for another season of picking NFL games for my YouTube channel, which I do 4 key game picks, but as well as my writing portion of my blog, which is thesportblog.blogspot.com. Everything will get posted on that website in terms of all my NFL picks, along with this video that I'm going to embed along with my writing portion of my blog. So please, if you're interested in every game that I pick, you need to not only just watch this video, but also go to my writing portion where I pick all of the week's games. So be sure to check that out, and I will post up the links in the description on this YouTube video, as well as other sources. Well, anyways, not much will change in what I want to do with these videos and my writing portion of my blog. Pretty much everything remains the same. I'm going to do what I do. Pretty much any game that I talk about here, they will be posted on a little caption graphic that will come up, along with the odds numbers, which pretty much you can look up on Google, but I'll post it up for you anyways. Some websites have it differently in terms of the point spread or anything else, but pretty much I will pretty much follow through on what they tell me from what I read. Or anything else, you can just look it up on Google. Now, as we begin the regular season, usually the first few weeks of the regular season are really the toughest games to pick because the season is just starting, and there's a lot of, I know a lot of us, whoever your team is, you have your expectations, whether they're high or low. But as far as picking football games, they're not easy because you don't know what surprises could be in store. Now, some of them, I'm looking at the schedule here. Now, some of these games pretty much may be predictable, but you don't know. Now, for a couple of things that you might see me do a lot during my videos is I may lean towards this way, because now I'm gonna have my laptop with me so I can read something and pretty much talk about it. I'll try not to make a habit of it, turning around and looking, but I'll look in case I forget to say something or whatever I want to read on here. Pretty much that way. But then again, on this day and age, you can just look up anything on your phone or your laptop or your desktop, whatever that might be, for league news and anything else regarding the NFL. But as far as anything else in terms of what I will talk about, I'm going to now start keeping this clean. And what I mean by clean, I'm not going to use profanity words anymore. I have to really, keep everything clean and somewhat professional, because that's the way it is now. And nowadays, you have to keep some things, you have to really keep it clean now, and show some professionalism as much. Look, I'm really an amateur in doing things like this, but I feel now that people who, especially on a personal level, who do watch my videos, or if you're NFL fans and all that, I gotta keep this clean. So that means no more profanity words, no more. I try to be as unbiased as I can be. I know that's a habit I get into that as well, where I tend to be a little bit biased. But anyways, enough of that. Let's talk about the regular season. Now, here are week 1's 4 key game picks, and let's begin with, of course, the season opener between the Pittsburgh Steelers and the New England Patriots. Now, we all know that Brady is not suspended anymore. The courts overturned the NFL suspension on him, blah, 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 blah. Now, let's get down to business here. Now, the Patriots are 7-point favorite in this game, and I do agree with that. If Brady was suspended, obviously the number would have dropped, because this game would have been even a very high toss-up game. But by looks of it, the Patriots now are pretty much heavy favorites in this one, so I can't argue with that. Pittsburgh has a lot to prove. And what I mean by a lot to prove here, because really they won the division last season, and Ben Roethlisberger is getting up there in age. Now, this Pittsburgh team really, really has a chip on their shoulders. Can this team get it together to make it. Now remember, they got eliminated by the Ravens last year in the playoffs. And they know they're going to be in a very, very tough NFC North division this year. Just like last year, it was very, very competitive. And it's going to be the same thing this year. In terms of my AFC and NFC division picks and all that, make sure you go to my other video if you want to know which teams I picked in each division and all that. But going back to this game here. Now, New England. Obviously, Brady at quarterback here. I pretty much agree with the experts here. They are a heavy favorite in this one. Their offense pretty much intact. Defensive-wise, they didn't improve all too much under defense, but they should be a very, very strong defense this season. So I expect the Patriots to be good again. And as far as this game goes, I like the Patriots in this one. There's no question about it that New England is the team to beat in the AFC. And besides them being the Super Bowl champions in the conference itself, they are definitely the team to beat. No question about it. Pittsburgh, they play in a much different. They play in their own division. It's going to be tough for them this year, and they really need to prove that they're a Super Bowl contending team this year. Tough to say. Like I said, this is just the first few weeks of the regular season. You know these games are tough to pick, and Pittsburgh's got a chip on their shoulder. They got a lot to prove this season, but I just don't see them beating the Patriots on Thursday. You got to give it to the Patriots here. Patriots over the Steelers. Key game number 2. It is an NFC North Division rivalry game, and of course, the Packers at the Bears. There's no question the Packers are heavy favorites in this one. They are a 7-point favorite here. We don't know what to expect out of the Chicago Bears. Well, when you have Jay Cutler at quarterback and what he's been doing the last few seasons, if you're a Bears fan, you have to be so discouraged here. It's really, really hard to say with this Chicago Bear team. They've had their chance to beat the Packers 2 years ago, and they lost in Week 17 in the 2013 season to the Packers, and they pretty much shown that this is a team, they just can't beat the Packers whatsoever. Now, the Bears have always had a history of not good quarterbacks. When was the last time they've actually had a good quarterback, or let alone a decent one? Of course, you have to go back to their Super Bowl year in 1986. No, the 85 season, sorry about that. I forgot. 86 was the Giants. 85 was the Bears. Sorry about that. Yeah, you got to go back to their championship run in 85. Of course, Jim McMahon, he was a decent quarterback, but a tough, decent quarterback. And since then, the Bears haven't had a QB. This has always been one of their major problems with this franchise, is they never had a good quarterback. Regardless that they have a running game, let alone a great defense, but this Bears team this year, I don't expect them to do much this season. If you're a Chicago Bear fan, this has to be just discouraging. The Packers, as I picked them in my division picks video, they're heavy favorites to win the NFC North. And pretty much in this game, I consider them the victors here. I'm going to pick the Packers over the Bears. I know I'm looking at the schedule here. I should have picked another game, but obviously because this is a divisional game early on, and for the Packers, they know they need to make a statement here after a heartbreaking NFC Championship loss to the Seahawks last season. But as we start the regular season, there's no question the Packers should win big here against the Bears. And for a rivalry that's going on, one of the oldest rivalries in the league, it's really not going to be much this season anyway. So you got to go with the Packers here. Packers over the Bears. Even though I know Aaron Rodgers don't have one of his go-to guys, Jordy Nelson, for the regular season, but his other wide receivers and tight ends going to have to step up now. And look, Aaron Rodgers is playing at a very, very high level, and I just don't see him taking a step back this year. He knows he wants to get to the Super Bowl, and he's going to do what it takes. So no question, he'll make his statement here against the Bears. The Packers should win big here. Key game number 3. It is the New Orleans Saints at the Arizona Cardinals. Now, this one is a toss-up here. There's no question about it. The Cardinals are 2.5-point favorites in this one. I sort of agree, but it's really toss-up central here because the New Orleans Saints, look, Drew Brees has been playing at a very, very high level these last 7-8 seasons, especially when he won the Super Bowl back in 2009. And now the loss of Jimmy Graham is going to hurt them. It's going to hurt them at tight end. I know the Saints need a go-to guy. But their running game is still pretty decent. Really the question is going to be on their defense. Their defense was horrific last season. And I didn't see much improvement this year, especially in terms of the draft. They really needed some defensive players. But look, like I said, Rob Ryan's defense, they got to prove something this year. Otherwise, it's going to be another dismal season for this New Orleans Saints team. Now, the Cardinals, their main concern right now is staying healthy. Can a 34, 35-year-old Carson Palmer lead this team? Look, by looks of it, he's going to start this game. And I know that really mostly for this Cardinals team, it's going to be determined, can they stay healthy all season long? Because they know they have a tough task ahead of them in the NFC West, knowing that the only way they're going to get into the postseason is they have to get past Seattle. That's their main goal. Boy, this one's tough to pick here because I expect a close game in this one here. But I will say the Cardinals. I'm going to pick the Cardinals here in a squeaker. I expect this game to go back and forth here. Obviously, New Orleans has a passing game, and the Cardinals really have to balance that out with a good running game. But really, I expect this game to be very close. No question about it. But I would say the Cardinals, if they can hold the Saints at bay and keep the ball and not turn the ball over, I will say the Cardinals win this one here. But it's going to be a squeaker in this one. I will say the Cardinals beat the Saints here, probably by a touchdown or a field goal. It wouldn't surprise me at all. I got to go with the Cardinals here. The Cardinals are, as I said, are a 2.5-point favorite here, and I will stick to that. And I will say the Cardinals over the Saints. And key game number 4, the Giants at the Cowboys, an NFC East divisional game. Dallas is heavy favorite in this one. They're a 5.5-point favorite over the Giants. Tough to say with that one because, I know the Giants last season didn't play all that well. A lot of it was the offensive line problems and defense and some injuries and all that. And who knows how Victor Cruz is going to come, especially he's coming back from a serious injury he had last year. It's going to be tough to say what happens, but really, if there's one thing, look, I'm not going to say that Odell Beckham Jr. is going to be the reason why the Giants should be much better this season. I mean, he's got really talent in catching the football, but unless Eli Manning has some other offensive weapons, this Giant team isn't going to do all that much this season. But look, let's just say if Victor Cruz can come back and he plays at a very good level. Now, it's going to be tough to come back from a very serious injury from when he had last season. But if he can stay consistent catching the ball, he doesn't have to gain big yardage and all that. Eli Manning should have some good offense, some good go-to guys to throw to. Especially with Odell Beckham Jr., knowing his talents in catching the football, the Giants should be able to keep themselves in contention all season long. Now the only other question is, can their O-line protect Eli Manning? Eli Manning really has to have a good season in order for the Giants to stay in contention because their defense didn't improve all that much during the offseason and especially in draft picks as well. And I'm looking around a lot of NFL teams, not many did all that well in the draft in terms of trying to draft defensive players. I didn't see a lot of defense drafted. But going back to the game here, that's what the Giants have to do. If they're going to beat the Cowboys here, they really have to have a good game plan and play flawless football in order to beat this Cowboy team. Now for the Cowboys here. Now look, losing DeMarco Murray was huge. Now their running game took a hit, but you still have Des Bryant here as a go-to guy for Tony Romo. Their offense pretty much is, like I said, I mean, now the running game is going to be a huge question for this Cowboy team. Can they win without a good running game? Look, I don't know. But in terms of passing, as long as Des Bryant is healthy and everything, and pretty much whoever's other go-to guys that Tony Romo has, the Cowboys are definitely a team to be reckoned with in the NFC East, but I don't see them going much this year. I see the Cowboys taking a step back this season, and as I said in the video, I picked the Cowboys to win the East, but it'll be, like I said, this NFC East is going to be much more competitive this year than it was last season. But go into this game, even though the experts have Dallas as a 5.5-point favorite, I think this game will be very close. This game will be much closer than a lot of you people think. But I will say the winner of this game, I'm gonna pick the Dallas Cowboys here. They also will win their game in a squeaker. And what I mean by squeaker, they'll probably win by a touchdown or by a field goal. because the New York Giants have a lot to prove this season, especially for Tom Coughlin. Nobody knows if this is going to be his last season as the head coach of that team. And as far as the Cowboys goes, will this be Coach Jarrett's last year if he doesn't get the Cowboys to the Super Bowl? So yeah, there's a lot riding for both these franchises in terms of personnel, but but like I said, it's only week 1. We don't really know for sure what's going to happen in this game, but my honest opinion, this is going to be a close game, and I say the Cowboys win barely. Cowboys over the Giants. All right, everybody, that is it for my week 1 picks. Go to thesportblog.blogspot.com for all of my week 1 picks. And I will see you all next week when I do my 4 key game picks video for week number 2. And until then, take care, and I'll see you all next week.